When you mark time, your feet are making different sounds. So it's like boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. Do it. Play what you were playing earlier. Cat. Boots and pants and boots and pants. Boots and pants and a boots and pants. All right, my phone's on now. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So, are you gonna play there? Oh no, you're just waiting.
Yeah, I have to do a lesson on that, so I actually need to work on that this weekend.
Yeah. Okay. So, I am opening my phone.
And use a straight phoning.
All right. Can you It can hear me and stuff.
Cha cha cha. Gridbook.
Yeah. All right. So, I'm pretty sure this is what we used in the trial, like these settings. Mm-hmm. So I think it's gonna be good.
It better be good, because it's not gonna be me.
It's gonna be me. Alright. My phone is like not
cooperating?
Loading.
Well, you know what that means. It's time for a new phone, baby.
Ooh. Yo, what the heck? Alright, so it's the Gridbook podcast.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah. Why is
of
this
about
happening?
4 years.
So, new tips for drumming, and then script stuff.
Oh my God, you guys did a podcast? No,
oh, there it is. There it goes.
We've been doing the podcast for years. It's called Gridbook Radio.
All right. Okay, so here's the thing. This is something that we have wanted to do for a long time. Mm-hmm. Start a podcast. Yep. We got to do the podcast. Talking. Oh, you know what? That would make a great podcast topic, wouldn't it? Oh, yeah. Hey, podcast topic. Ba, ba, ba. And we don't have time. So.
Never.
This is. We don't have time to do it like with the production value that we want, that we bring with the brand and, everything. We were talking about this today. Everything that we do in the world of educating is talking about playing clean and it being perfect and, chasing greatness and that whole thing.
Right.
But a lot of times when you think you're gonna do something, it has to be perfect right away. So you don't do it because the end goal. The end goal is supposed to be this thing that you've dreamed of and you imagine.
That plays into our personalities way too heavily.
Yeah. So we decided to just literally no production value. It'll evolve over time, but this is just us. I'm sitting in my computer chair at my desk, which, by the way, I needed a new chair. This chair.
Yeah.
It's been done.
Yeah. I can't believe you're not on a foldy chair yet.
Right. There's cracks in the plastic.
You saw me. I was like...
I know. We threw yours away.
Yeah.
So, John's on the couch. I'm in a broken computer chair. And we're just going to talk about stuff. Stuff and things. And really, honestly, man, this is for us.
Right.
So... obviously, people are going to listen to this, but this will just be a way for us to talk about topics that we care about. And for those of you listening, this is sort of the format that we've picked, which who knows how this will evolve. But the format that we've picked for the podcast is taking our tips for drumming, which if you know, #tips4drumming. Oh, dude, talking about how tips for drumming even started, that would be interesting.
Right.
But if you see our tips for drumming, it is a hashtag on Instagram, really Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and it's like a tip with a description of what the tip means. So we're going to read out a tip and then talk about it, kind of give our take on both sides. Hey Siri, Set a timer for 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes and counting.
You said 10 minutes?
The podcast?
You said we should set a timer for 10 and try to wrap it up.
No. So we should set a timer for 45 minutes.
Okay.
And then, what should happen is the podcast should start with you saying, "Hey Siri, set a timer for 45 minutes."
Okay. Cool.
And then you start reading the tip.
Sweet. Hey Siri, set a timer for 45 minutes.
A timer is already running at 9 minutes and 20 seconds. Would you like to replace it?
Yes.
Okay, your new timer's running for 45 minutes.
Thank you.
Technologies.
She's like, you already set a timer. What are you doing with all these timers? I'm sorry, Siri. Okay. So I just read the tip?
Read it. Let's go.
Okay. If you don't clock the hours, you don't win. I gotta say it again. Oh, man. If you don't clock the hours, you don't win. You have to work. If you don't clock the hours, you don't win. And we aren't talking about winning with scores or medals. We mean moving forward and accomplishing personal goals. Whether you want to make a drum line, play harder music, march better, it doesn't matter what you want to do, you have to work. You have to clock the hours. This means that you have to make sacrifices and be smart with your time. Write down your weekly schedule and put in everything you are doing. School, work, homework, family time, honors band, wind ensemble, piano practice, oboe practice, the gym. Whatever it is in your life, write out your schedule week by week and find out when you will practice. Don't just practice when you have time. Make a planned time to do it. And hold yourself accountable just as if you were going into a job and clocking in. The best players in the world are not automatically the most talented. Most of the time, it is the people with the best work ethic. Talent can only take you so far, but developing skill is what will make you successful. Now go clock in.
Nice. Oh, that's such a great one.
Bam. So that is a hashtag tips for drumming tip. Something that we do on social media is we write blog articles, and then those go out as tips. We've been doing that for years. Actually, before Gridbook even started, when I was in architecture school, I started a thing called Tips for Architecture, where I was a graduate teaching assistant. The students were coming in not knowing like basic things like what glue to buy and how to draw a line and, shapes and datum and just like vocabulary words. There's so many things they didn't know. I was like, how do you not know this? Like, you should know. These are things that you should know. And so I made a Tumblr blog and started writing just like
Tumblr.
Right. Here are things you should know. And it's funny because then people started really liking those posts. And then that blew up. It went to over 150,000 followers. Tumblr hit me up and was like, hey, you need to write for Tumblr. So I was actually on the Spotlight blog page writing architecture school tips. And a lot of those tips turned into really just life tips. And a lot of people were asking more questions about how to stay motivated and how to manage time and things like that than what kind of glue to buy. And I don't know, just in
right. As the result
in the
of
time.
the tips.
Yeah, right. So the tips kind of turned into these tips for life, which is funny. I think that blog got like shadowed by Gridbook.
Right.
Gridbook started taking off, and I ended up stopping, I think, at tip number 98. So
Right.
I didn't even get the full 100 out. And yeah, so now we were like, dude, we should just take these same tips that are fantastic, modify them slightly for our brand and our community, and put these tips back out again.
What's funny about the background of most of those tips is from the drumming experiences that got modified
for
and expressed for architecture, and then we had to flip it back on them.
Right. The backstory. So for someone who just like reads the tip, like this right here, someone reads that, like someone is going to listen to this and hear this tip, and we're about to get into it, but they'll see the tip go out and they'll be like, wow, this is great, and this is new and fresh for them. But this is a tip that I wrote in like 2012.
Right.
Like I wrote this in 2012 for tips for architecture. And that went out on Tumblr for my architecture people. And then it got repurposed probably in like 2014 for tips for drumming. And then it got taken down, and then it got repurposed again and was put out on our new website when that came out.
Right.
And then nobody really looked at it. 3.0. Yeah. And so now we're starting the podcast, and we're like, well, let's just start with the first tip.
Right.
So here we are. Boom. First tip. And this is this is an amazing topic. This is kind of how the whole brand was built, was on, you got to clock the hours. And so, without further ado, what does that mean to you? If you don't clock the hours, you don't win.
So, for me...
It's 12 o'clock.
Woo!
It's midnight, baby! Should I... Dude, this thing is so loud.
It needs to start saying AM and PM after the hours.
That could mean it. Well...
We're about to shift into military time around here.
Oh, I've been thinking about doing that.
Yeah, that's coming up. All right, anyways, back to the topic. So, for me, how I feel about this is I feel like there's a set amount of time that you have to invest into a certain thing to get a result out of it. So, in drumming skills, it may be I want to learn how to play paradiddles. I'm a beginning drummer. And it may take you 30 hours to learn how to play paradiddles. And any way you divvy up those 30 hours until you have invested the 30 hours, you can't play the paradiddles. So if you're practicing an hour a week, that's 30 weeks.
Oh, right.
If you're practicing an hour a day, it's 30 days.
Yep.
But if within any of those hours you become distracted, or you shift, or you're not in a process that keeps you in a, singular format, then it doesn't count towards the 30 hours.
Right. That's where people get it real twisted. Is you will practice a ton, but you'll only practice the paradiddle skill set for 20 minutes. And then you move on to another thing and you play some cheeses, and then you move on, you play some flam drags, and then you move on and you play this cool etude that you downloaded from Gridbook, and then you'll play and it's like you think that you're practicing, and you think you're clocking the hours.
Oh, you're clocking hours.
Yeah, you're clocking hours, but you're not actually clocking hours in a specific direction. And the paradiddle is chilling in the back of your brain, underdeveloped.
Right.
So, that's not even there's a lot of different directions we could go with this. So, one is, if you don't clock the hours, you don't win. Of course, clocking hours versus not clocking hours is better than nothing. But then there are tiers of clocking the hours and how efficient you are in what you're doing. And so if you are not managing your time correctly, it is sort of wasted time. and it just takes longer. I think the number one question that I get, like people ask Gridbook questions all the time.
Right.
And people are like, how do I get better at this? And what they're asking me is, how can I play this like the dope video I saw with the dope quality that that person has as soon as possible?
Right.
That's what they're really asking. Because when I say, okay, you know, here's what you do, and I lay out like a 2-year plan for them, they're like, thanks.
or I already knew all those things. I thought you had that secret sauce.
Right. Like, all I have to do is practice and follow the process. There's got to be another way. Which, we were talking about this tonight. So, that's funny. We didn't plan for this tip to be directly related to the t-shirt you just printed.
Right.
John is making all of the t-shirts. And we've been running into, just like you make stuff, and then sometimes it's really awesome, and sometimes it comes out and it's jacked up. And it's like, man, I don't know why this isn't good. Like, why is this not happening? And this and that and this and that. And then tonight you made like this perfect print. First time, like, turn on the printer, did the thing, made the print, came out. And the comment was, how could I ever think that this would just be great right away?
Right.
And how could I ever think that all the advice that I give my students about getting better at drumming doesn't apply to me in this other skill that I'm developing?
Right.
And that is a really cool epiphany to have. I feel like this happens to me all the time. Like, I'll be teaching and I'll be telling the student what they really need to hear, but I'm really talking to myself. I'm just telling them, like, listen, this is how things are. This is what you need to do. You need to this, you need to that. And then I get done with the lesson and I'm like, dang, I need to do these things for, you know, social media. I need to do these things for this, for that.
Right.
And so we all do it. We all have the expectation of, this is what I want. And then, so ready for this? My issue is I feel like the time that I have spent developing one skill is just automatically supposed to make me great at another skill.
Ooh.
So I have spent a ton of time in Photoshop, doing Photoshop, learning Photoshop, shortcuts, the whole thing. Years. Like, I could pop it off in Photoshop.
Right.
Like, what I do for Gridbook isn't even close to the architectural renderings and stuff that I do. So it's like, I got this Photoshop Ferrari part of my brain that's ready to go. And then I foolishly thought that I was just going to jump into Adobe InDesign.
Yeah, which is like a 16-wheeler.
And just start driving it like it's nothing.
Psych.
And all the... so even running into... All right, I've designed everything ready to go. Now I need to export, print it. It's 7 shades different color.
Right.
Like, what? Why is this happening? And so me coming to terms with, I have to put in the hours of making the errors and watching the videos and talking to the experts and doing the thing.
Micro adjustments along the way.
Yeah. And developing and learning and writing notes and having a, you know, we preach that everyone needs a practice journal. Like, I have literal journals here that I write in to remind myself of settings and things that worked and things that did not work. And man, now I can open up InDesign. I mean, it's been 3 years now.
Right.
And I can open up InDesign. I understand color profiles and I understand how to set up multiple pages that are drag and drop and numbering and just templates and the whole thing. But man, when I first started, I was like, this shouldn't be too hard. I should just be able to take my knowledge and boom, it's going to happen.
Same company, right?
Right. Adobe. So yeah, and I see it, I see the same thing with my students, and I've seen it. This is cool. This is cool talking about this now, because when we first were talking about this, it was like we were just kind of starting the grind. Like,
right,
let's go. You and I both marched drum corps together, but it was like, this Gridbook thing is popping off. Like, it's time to put the hours in now. And we're watching like Lil Wayne documentaries where he's like, I didn't sleep for 17 hours. And we're like, that's how we trying to live. Let's go. We're listening to freaking E.T. E.T. the hip hop preacher, which if you guys haven't seen the what is it?
As bad as you want to breathe.
As bad as you want to breathe. So when you want to be successful, as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. So the clocking of the hours really matters. And over the last 9 years?
Woo.
What?
It's
it
10.
It can't be 9. Is it 10?
It's more than 9 because there was
20.
pre-Gridbook.
Right. Well, I mean, we got our sense of urgency from band.
Right.
And our understanding of the grind from us practicing.
Right.
That's kind of another crazy thing, too, is me thinking about this in business. But the span between when I was like trying out for Boston Crusaders and really drumming and really trying to do the thing and doing drum corps, that was a pretty unstoppable drive. Mark Perrett.
Right.
And I think that stayed with me, but I wasn't thinking about it. Like, that was happening, the drive was happening, but I wasn't looking at it from a third-party perspective like I do now. Like, the fact that we're even sitting here talking about it is us looking at it objectively from the outside, like, looking at the hustle inside of an aquarium, like, oh, look at this, look at that.
Right.
But when I was just drumming to drum, I wasn't thinking like I have to grind. I wasn't thinking about the hustle. I hated being at war with sucking.
Right, so you're just putting in,
It's like, I got to be better.
an incredible amount of hours that weren't necessarily focused around singular things.
Right.
But there were enough hours in there to just cover it.
The amount of drumming that was happening. Well, we've touched on this before. I mean, the distractions that happen now.
Right.
Like with the phone. We're lucky that we had the time where the distraction of the phone wasn't there.
Pre-social media drumming days.
Right. So, just like, if you don't clock the hours, you don't win. And looking at that statement, thinking about and knowing the hustle is something you need to do is obvious. So someone could listen to this and look at that tip and be like, well, no freaking duh. But for you to make it happen, that's a whole different story. And so doing things when you don't feel like doing them. Like, how many times are you like, I do not want to go to the studio today. I don't want to do the things that I need to do. Like, I don't even want to do the fun things. Like, I just don't want to do anything.
It's a weekly rotation.
And how do you get over that? Like, how do you get over not wanting to do it, but still clocking the hours? Because you know that that's what it takes.
I mean, that's what it is I do understand that I'm either clocking the hours or I'm not clocking the hours. So I'm either moving closer towards my goal or I'm not. And when I'm not, I'm actually slowly moving backwards.
Right.
Because when I get back into clocking my hours, I have to make sure everything was back to where I left it.
Oh my God.
Before I can clock the additional set of hours into whatever singular thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
And the fear of having too many days consecutively of not making ground and losing ground, that is how I get over the emotional response of me being a naturally lazy person.
How about this? Understanding the value of momentum.
Right.
Like, you get started on something, you're really jazzed about it, then you're no longer jazzed about it because it's been a while and you've run into complications and this and that, and next thing you know, the goal hasn't been reached, but you've lost that enthusiasm and you've seen some failures and other things have come up that are taking your time, and now you're just kind of bogged down and you stop doing that thing. The momentum is gone. Then for you to start over again, forgetting your place. Like, there's no bookmarks in like my computer right now, if you go on my computer, I'm not even kidding, 20 desktops open on my Mac. 20. And each desktop is a different project where I have had to stop.
AKA a different skill set.
Right. So it's just funny. Like, right now, I'm making sure that... So we just got collaboration agreements signed. Mm-hmm. So one of the things is having old Gridbook ETUDES needing to be rebranded with the new website, making sure that goes into SendOwl and that people are able to go on the website and download them. Once those are all re-exported with the new branding, it's going to go out on YouTube, go here, go there, and like that's a whole project in and of itself. And then over here, I'm trying to make ads for, the products. And then over here, I have this, and over here, I have this. And whenever I stop one of those things to go to something else, it gets worse. Like, the momentum of that thing stops, and then I go back and God forbid I close the window. Like, if I close everything down, turn my computer off, turn the computer back on, it's like...
You have to find your place.
I'm starting over.
Right.
And so that happens too when you're trying to work on paradiddles. The momentum. You lose the momentum and then it's gone. And you think that you are just going to pick back up where you left off. But it's just not realistic. That's not how it goes.
Definitely.
I think I heard someone say, and we might need to do a fact check section after this or whatever, like,
in the comments.
Yeah, Dax Shepard has a really good podcast called Armchair Experts, mm-hmm. and they do the whole podcast and get done, and then after that, him and his assistant do a fact check where if they say anything that seems, if they cite a percentage or whatever,
right,
they'll check it, and then they'll be like, oh, I was actually wrong, it's this percent. So now I don't remember what I was talking about. What was the last point I just made? Wait, dang. What was I saying? I don't know. That means it's time to go, ladies and gentlemen. It's been real. It's been great. Wow, I don't remember. For real. I'm gonna we're all cruising along, and then all of a sudden...
the brick wall pops up.
The brick wall? Yeah.
Get off at the exit. It's actually...
Wait.
Oh, bring it back.
Oh, it's almost there. The cloud.
Reel it.
The cloud's going.
Yeah, it's downloading.
All right, hold on. I was quoting someone, and then I immediately went to another quote. Someone said, here we go. somebody said there's 3 things.
It's in queue.
It's in queue. It's thinking.
We're at 98% on the download. 98.5.
Oh man, it's right there. It's high. It's like hiding and it's like peeking out just a little.
99%.
Okay, there's 3 things you can either. I can't. It's like the Napster days. You're like, why is it on 99?
99.5.
Why is it on 99? How about when it hits 100 and you're like, let's go.
And then it's like initializing.
Yeah, processing. Wait, hold up. What do you mean? So you can either. What was it? I don't know, man.
Me either. Can you talk about sponsors?
Yeah.
Who's sponsoring this podcast?
Today, this podcast is sponsored by DRUMLINE Fundamentals.
Tell us about it.
The DRUMLINE Fundamentals series is a series of rudimental books that have the 7 fundamental skill sets that you need to be great at rudimental drumming in the books. Currently, there is a snare version of the book and a tenor version of the book. There is a bass version of the book, pending if we can ever make enough money to have the time to publish that book.
There it is.
Which is real. But in all seriousness, if you are wanting to be great at rudimental drumming, you have to have a great foundation of fundamentals. And we have, over the years, spent lots and lots and lots of time developing what skill sets you actually need to know in order for you to play all the hard, crazy things. And we broke it down into 7 skill sets. That is a base layer that you need to know before you can expand off into other directions. So we firmly believe that the skill sets in Drumline Fundamentals is the foundation. Yeah. And anyone who goes to any like WGI, DCI audition, it is like assumed. It is assumed that you know these things. So a lot of people go
because you can't escape them.
Right.
Like they're happening whether you're good at them or not.
Right. It is mathematical and it is just like based on the vocabulary.
Right.
You can literally take any piece of music written by any person from any period of time and it can fall into one of those 7 categories. Drumming is a language, and this is teaching you the foundation of the language we speak as rudimental drummers. So, if you would like to pick that up, that book, the Snare Fundamentals book and the Tenor Fundamentals book in the Drumline Fundamentals series is available on gridbookpercussion.com. Actually, all of our books, apparel, private lessons, this podcast, our freebies, like everything that we do is housed in our website. So our socials are cool, but the whole thing is on gridbookpercussion.com. The website is the Holy Grail.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So, I really don't remember what the thing was that I was
We're
talking
signing
about,
out, baby.
but
Who's signing out?
we ran out of time. So, is there like a joint? Because I mean, I got my jingle, but how do we?
I mean, that's what it is.
I could just I could like insert yours. So my thing is the beginning. My intro is, "What's up, Gridbook Nation? This is Mark Perrett with Gridbook Percussion, and today we're doing this." And then whatever that is happens, and at the end I'm like, "Thank you guys so much. This is Mark Perrett.
And John Lluvera with Gridbook Percussion. Is that why you're thinking about
I'm doing an example. Yes, but that's what I was saying. I'd be like, this is Mark Perrett.
And John Lluvera
With Gridbook Percussion, signing out. Peace.